The film opens with a woman entering a smoke-filled area. In the background, there's gunfire and an explosion. While being filmed, Ethan is playing a video game on an aircraft. He states that they have figured out how to use this force and claims that time is the greatest mystery in the universe. Ethan explains that they have been in the first plane, which is powered by a new, extremely potent energy source called quantanium, which is created from time, for the past 5 hours. Ethan introduces himself as Quantanium's creator and the crew captain. Ted reports that the switchboard is unresponsive and that turning off the autopilot is impossible when the plane suddenly starts losing altitude. As they enter the water, Ethan tells the passengers that they've been given a rare opportunity to see the Pacific Ocean up close. He doesn't seem to be fazed by this. Jacob approaches Ethan and says that the first flight should have been done remotely, without the crew. If they had done so, according to Ethan, they would have lost the plane by now. As Ethan switches off the aircraft, Jacob queries what transpired. Ethan explains to him that he turned the plane off and back on, but that the autopilot is still in charge and that access to aircraft control is still blocked. Ethan informs everyone that they only have a few minutes to live and that he has done everything he could. Jacob is upset about Ethan's careless actions. Eva breaks down in a panic, saying she can't crash because she has a fashion stream the following day. The next scene in the film shows Eva talking about Ethan while inviting him to the stage to discuss time. Next, Eva introduces his brother Jacob, the company's commercial director. Ethan talks about how time and its mysteries have always fascinated him. Eva brings up the father of Ethan, Professor Henry Blake, who vanished in 1984 and was the first person to harness time energy. Ethan displays Quantanium and the world's first Quantanium-powered aircraft. Ethan nods to the other members of the team and introduces Ted, the chief engineer of the company. Elizabeth Paulson, who passed away 2 days ago, was very special to Ethan, and he named the plane in her honor. Returning to the plane, where all the characters have passed out, Ethan awakens. He gets up and loads his gun as soon as he notices 2 individuals stealing the Quantanium. After exiting the aircraft, Ethan moves toward a lake and notices a girl swimming there. When she saw him, frightened, he put down his gun and motioned for her to leave the water. She changed her clothes after exiting the water. With his back to her, Ethan was standing. She went over there, pulled out the gun, and aimed it at him. While attempting to shoot, she dropped the gun, which Ethan picked up and instructed her to take to the people who stole his Quantanium. Reaching him from behind, a second girl struck him with a wooden stick from their early years. This scene transports us back to the time when Henry, Ethan, and Jacob's father is preparing to spend a long time away from home. Ethan, who is young, wishes his father would never return. Henry counsels Jacob to look after his brother and to always see things through to the very end. Rewinding to the present, Ethan awakens and ventures out into the darkness. He observed the broken Quantanium lying on the floor. He located the others and Jacob. Approaching Ethan, Jacob queries his whereabouts. He is informed by Ethan that he pursued the soldiers after they stole their Quantanium. Frustrated, Jacob wonders what Ethan had planned to do. Then, after 3 years of labor, Ethan informed him that their Quantanium, which was necessary for their plane to take off, had been destroyed. The pilot Ted's assistant Ryan admits that he was the one who started it all. He admits that he intentionally programmed the autopilot to land them here rather than the switchboard malfunctioning. Startled, Ethan asks to know why. Ryan tells him that Ethan must come here to find something valuable, according to Elizabeth Paulson. Ted tries to reassure everyone that everything should be alright since the autopilot successfully landed them. He notes that the emergency beacon would have broadcast their coordinates for a rescue even though it cannot function without Quantanium. However, Ryan acknowledges that he disassembled the emergency beacon prior to takeoff because Elizabeth Paulson gave him the order that no one but them should come to this location. Ethan responds that he had a more interesting goal and left to explore the island when Jacob accuses them of being responsible since they brought everyone here. Entering a cabin, he discovered a taped message meant for a Matt. Tina laments in the recording that Matt was unable to accompany her to the island in her capacity as the professor's assistant. Jacob is pointing his gun at everything. There is a lot of fog surrounding the area, making visibility difficult. He strolls on, peering through the haze to see a large gathering of people attending a party. He conceals his gun quickly. Jacob witnesses his father discussing the recent discovery of turning time into energy. He then gave the exact date, August 22, 1986. The girl Ethan saw by the lackey, Tina, is seen carrying the Quantanium. He leaves the house and begins to explore. He follows her after noticing her. She tells him that she has never seen him before when he catches her. She responds that it wasn't his Quantanium when he asks where it is. He makes an effort to clarify that he invented it and that he made it in 2019. She informs him that Professor Henry Blake is the inventor and that the year is 1986. An officer approaches and points a gun at him as he was interacting with her. Before the bullet reaches him, the officer officer opens fire on him as he tries to clarify. The bullet vanishes and everything goes away, including Tina and the officer. It appears to Jacob and Ethan that everyone has disappeared. 2 years after their father's departure on August 22, 1986, Jacob tells Ethan that he witnessed their father giving a speech. The date is confirmed by Ethan, who also says that everything vanished when the fog lifted. Ethan approaches a child they see sitting in the hopes that he may have some insight into what is happening. When Ethan comes around, the child takes off running and runs after him. When the child enters a house, Ethan follows. As he wanders around, he comes upon a recording and plays it. It was the girl he had discovered being questioned earlier. Why had she taken the Quantanium, they questioned. As Ethan is asking questions, a man enters and begins acting out a scene. Subsequently, Ethan discovers a card addressed to Rob and recalls a child he saw before, recalling hearing his mother refer to him as Rob. Asking if he was the boy from the theater, he approaches the man. Along with Ryan and Ted, Jacob goes in search of Ethan. Over a radio, they overhear soldiers saying, "This is where the Quantanium was hidden." Upon picking it up, Ethan exclaimed, "That's my Quantanium." After hearing him, they retreated. When they discovered the hiding, they were instructed to kneel. When Rob arrived and turned on the light, everything vanished once more due to fog. Ethan begins to explain everything to everyone. Quantanium took 3 years to develop, according to Ethan. However, it took only 20 minutes to create here. A byproduct of this quick process is a fog of quantum particles bearing traces of certain days' events. Inside the fog, a duplicate of the day is repeated in parallel with their own. Ryan said something about them talking to the people in the mist. They are quantum copies, Ethan clarifies. He reveals that August 22, 1986 and August 22, 2036 are the 2 days that are taking place in the mist. They were able to produce Quantanium quickly because they had a 50-year time wave at their disposal. Jacob strikes up a phone conversation. Jacob is told by the operator that they have located the source of the signal, but the map just displays the ocean. Jacob is adamant that an island exists. The operator proceeds to inform that the ship will arrive in 2 days and will set sail tomorrow morning. Ethan says they have to figure out how to take the T-engine with them and how to operate it. When Ryan suggests that they search for Eva, Ethan responds that the assistants arriving in 2 days will do so. This infuriates Ryan, who labels Ethan as self-centered. Elizabeth gives him a necklace, and he walks away. Ethan trails behind him. He was in a combat zone, and there was fog outside. After running into a cabin, 2 soldiers discovered him. Ethan is told to get on the ground by the soldiers, who ask him how he got there. After realizing that Ethan is the one who killed his wife and child, a soldier tries to shoot him. The soldier claims that Ethan and his brother have hidden the island to safeguard the technology behind the TIU engine and have launched an army of unmanned machines in battle. A reminder that Ethan is only a fog is given by the other soldier who tries to stop him. A tank breaches the wall, sending the soldiers and Ethan back to battle. He discovered Ryan and Eva cowering behind a soldier firing at an approaching aircraft. After the soldier was shot, Ethan took control of the aircraft, acknowledged him as its owner, and the gunfire stopped. After Ethan opened fire on the aircraft, it blew up. Ethan and Eva attempted to save Ryan after he was shot, but they were unsuccessful. After exiting, Ethan saw his dad. He went to him, called him a conceited brat, and threatened to use their energy to make a weapon later on. When soldiers arrived to take him into custody, Henry ordered them to bring him to his office. Henry questioned Ethan's sender, believing him to be a spy. After introducing himself and confronting Henry, Ethan disclosed that he had knowledge of the T-engine's negative effects thanks to the notebook Henry had left behind. Ethan revealed to him the truth. Their mother passed away. Henry never came back, and he and Jacob were raised in an orphanage. Ethan says that perhaps Henry's meeting with him will just serve to reveal his true nature. Henry is still living in denial, thinking that his return will make all the difference in the world. When a guard appears out of nowhere and informs Henry that there is something inside a big cloud of fog, Henry orders Ethan to leave. Ethan bolted from the office as there was an explosion. His father was lying on the ground when he saw him running away from gunshots. Ethan approached Jacob and instructed him not to remove anything from the location. Jacob is adamant that for the sake of their business's future, they must carry as much Quantanium as possible, telling him that Blake's exploration sparks a potential future conflict. Ethan begs him to turn off the engine. Though Jacob thinks they can stop it now that they know, he still believes Ethan. Ethan contends that destroying the engine is the only way to put an end to it. Jacob informs Ethan that their father was murdered by their drones and reiterates his advice to always persevere through difficulties to the finish. Ted refuses to comply when Ethan approaches him and asks him to turn off the engines. When he tries to stop it on his own, Jacob intervenes. When Eva attempts to damage the engine, Jacob shoots her. When Rob Rob launches fireworks, Ethan seizes the opportunity to rush outside and seal Jacob inside. Rob is watching Tina's interrogation tape like it's a movie, and Ethan made the decision to carry out Tina's plan and destroy the TA. He intended to use quantanium to fuel the engine and begin generating new fanium. After that, there will be an explosion due to the collision of energy. He got to work on his strategy. He used the quantanium to travel back in time to when he had first seen Tina. He approached her and introduced himself as Matt, the person she writes letters to. She never saw him and never trusted him. He asked her where she had hidden the quantanium and told her he was just trying to help. They decided to pick it up early. After bringing him to Rob's mother's house, she asked the young Rob to give her the quantanium. At 4:00 a.m., Rob became perplexed, and Ethan realized that the launch had not yet occurred and that the day was shifting in the fog. While they stood there, Rob's mother and another Tina arrived and departed. She bolted from him, and I followed to give the explanation. In order to find out where Tina had hidden the quantanium, he pretended to be Matt and told her he was Henry's son from the future. Tina finds it difficult to accept him. In order for her to believe him, he then brought her to the elderly Rob. Rob gives Tina his backpack, saying he's never opened it, and Tina recognizes him after he sings a song they both know. The quantanium was the one. Tina is attempting to comprehend why there is a different version of her and whether or not she is in the future. Ethan explains that she is contained within a mass of processed quantum particles that he can draw to himself and contain within a radius of 100 meters by means of a device. She hasn't vanished just yet because of this. He noticed that Tina was wearing the same necklace he had received from Elizabeth, so he showed hers. When he opened his, an SD card was inside. It was Elizabeth, and they played it. She identified herself as Tina and expressed regret for drawing him there to witness the results of their experiments. She overcame the devastation, took on a new identity, and made the decision to search for Ethan in an effort to raise him differently because she felt he was unique. In the future, Tina comes to terms with her death. She expressed to him her desire to continue the plan on her own. After talking over the plan, Ethan and Tina got to work on it. When Ethan discovered Ted and Jacob attempting to steal the quantanium, he cried out and informed the soldiers that they were pilfering. Then Ethan crept inside and added the quantanium to the device. When he discovered Jacob, he informed him that the quantanium in the receiver would explode in 20 minutes. Then Jacob began to go through everything that Ethan had gone through, from meeting Tina to the two soldiers in the cabin. Rob hit Jacob with an umbrella from behind as he was about to shoot Tina, and Jacob responded by shooting Rob. Ted arrived and shot Jacob after he witnessed him and Ethan fighting. Then, because he had shot its owner, an aircraft shot him, viewing him as an enemy. After visiting the TA, Ethan was teleported. He played what he had recorded for Tina and his father. Ethan reassured Henry that his family was waiting, as he was feeling dejected about the waste of his life's labor. Henry returned to his family after they demolished the machine. As the entire family entered their home, Tina was sitting in the car, feeling a sense of closure, and with that, the film came to an end.